Yeah, good evening, everyone. Yeah, see the first question. How are the principles followed by Niti Aayog different from those followed by erstwhile Planning Commission in India? Okay, the question is still relevant because Niti Aayog as a nodal agency for planning is still in place. So take 2 minutes. Yeah, I've seen that question 8, Rajni, but that is a question of 4 years back, so I don't think it will come this year. It is about long-term capital gains and dividend distribution tax. It is a very factual question. Okay, in that year that there was change in that LTCG and dividend distribution tax. So it may not be relevant this year. Clear? Yeah. Okay. See the first question of today's discussion. Yeah, good points, Rajni. See, what is the question? The question is asking about how are the principles followed by Niti Aayog different from those in Planning Commission? So basically it is Niti Aayog versus Planning Commission. So again, everyone can have their own way of presentation. Okay, you can either present it in the tabular column by having differences between Niti Aayog and Planning Commission side by side, or you can mention a single point like what is the approach of Niti Aayog versus what is the approach of Planning Commission by having various side headings. Okay, obviously you can with the introduction. The introduction is pretty standard for whoever writes it because you will say that Niti Aayog, just expand Niti Aayog. What is Niti Aayog? National Institution for Transforming India. When was this formed? 2015. Okay. And it was formed by replacing erstwhile Planning Commission. So this can be your introduction. In the body, what are the principles of operation? How they are differing? So maybe you can go with Niti Aayog and the Planning Commission. Okay. So here, what is the first point? The Planning Commission was more of decisions taken and states to implement. So it was more of imposing body. Here, more consultation and deliberation before arriving at consensus. This is Niti Aayog is bottom-top approach. Here it is top-down approach. This is states are empowered. Here powerful center. Here it operated on 5-year plans. Here short term, medium term, and long term vision goals. Okay, and then think tanks for strategic thinking. Okay, and then planning commission was responsible for the 5-year plan. Okay, these are some areas of differences. Okay, and then obviously this is more inclusive. Okay, you can say this is more transparent and states as part of the team. Less transparent and more discretionary powers. To the planning commission. Example, special grants. And further, some aspects are against federalism, and Niti Aayog promotes competitive cooperative federalism. In the conclusion, you will write that the nation today, with its diversity, requires a shift in the way center-state relationship operates. Niti Aayog tries to bridge this gap to lay the seeds of foundation for a developed India. Clear?
Sir, it's a 250 word
Yes,
answer.
sir.
Sir, this much is enough, sir.
It's a 250 word answer, but then see the number of points have written 7 plus 7, 14 points. Okay, so since we have written like this in the comparative table, okay, maybe then if you want to further expand, is it a 250 word answer? Is it a 250 word answer? Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you want, you can give some case study. How it is promoting cooperative competitive federalism. How it is promoting, it is publishing various reports. Niti Aayog is publishing various reports like the health index, the ease of doing business. This is published by Niti Aayog also, you know, right? This is within
Yes,
India.
sir. State-wise.
State-wise. So this, so you can give 1 or 2 case studies as example, and that also will look good. So when you say this particular point, it promotes cooperative competitive federalism. 2 case studies you give, and then substantiate your stand how it is different from planning commission. Okay,
Yes.
clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Good points. I think you have repeated this point. Anil, this point is repeating.
Yes, sir.
Don't repeat. Okay, it shows that you are lacking in points. Don't do that, but try to write some of the points which we have written. Okay, the other points are good, but then try to be, if you don't know points, just write how many points you know, but don't repeat. The examiner will try to see that, okay, you are trying to fill some space. That impression should not come. Okay, what is this? A very radical statement. How are you expecting Niti Aayog to fight inequality in Indian society? On one side, you are saying it is only advisory body, and you are giving a derogatory statement. How is this possible, Anil? Politicization of organization. Do you have any proof for it? See the statements. You are talking about Niti Aayog, yeah. Okay, inadequate resources or skilled manpower, that can be one thing. See these 3 points. You will be terribly penalized for writing this. Do you have the proof that it is politicized? In what way it is politicized, Anil? In what way it has been glorified as a recommendatory body which lacks requisite power? And then how are you saying that it is only advisory body? So if it is advisory body, either that point should be correct or this point should be correct. How are you expecting an advisory body to stop inequality in India? These points are really, I don't know, where did you pick up these points? Are these your own points or you have searched somewhere?
Sir, some points are searched, sir. Some are my
No,
own,
no.
sir.
That is the
Favoring
problem with, that is the problem with Google. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry will write points which they want in some website, and that website might be a branded institute, and you people are simply copying. Be very careful. You see the points? Does anyone agree with the points? Leave about Anil's answer. It is not specific to Anil. He seems to have picked it up from somewhere. Innocently, he has pasted it here. How many of the people agree that this point should be written in mains answer? See, inability. Okay, fixing accountability is still fine. Inability. Very radical words. This one, these 3 points. Be very careful, Anil. Okay.
Sure, sir.
While writing the answers which you have studied from internet or whichever sources, use your judgment of the examination and the subject. Don't go by what is written in the standard websites. They can be very misleading. Okay. Do everyone agree that or not? These points should not be there. Or is someone agreeing? Yes or no?
So the extreme statements could have been avoided. The same points could have been written in moderate form if
Mhm.
it has to be written.
So how do you write this point? Inequality continued to grow in Indian society and Niti Aayog failed to combat this. And in the tabular column, he told Niti Aayog is an advisory body, right? Which is true. Niti Aayog is an advisory body. So an advisory, non-statutory, non-constitutional body is expected to control inequality.
No, sir, I meant if the point has to be written, then the moderation has to
Okay.
be there. That's all.
So politicization of the organization in recent times. Isn't it a radical statement about a body which is actually involved in strategic planning? So this in way forward you can write, Anil, if you want to say Niti Aayog can focus on various issues and recommending the same to the government of India. For example, the growing inequality. How is this statement?
Yes, sir. That's a good point.
Same statement of what you
Yes,
wrote.
sir.
I gave a complete different perception to this. I'm saying Niti Aayog, apart from what it is doing, can concentrate on other important aspects which are impacting India's growth. Example, growing inequality. So here you are trying to give a focus or vision to Niti Aayog. Here you are making a very radical statement about Niti Aayog. Don't do that. Understood everyone how to actually write the point?
Yes, sir.
One of the intended objectives of Union Budget 1718 is to transform, energize, and clean India. TEC. Okay. This made a very big headline in that year. Analyze the measures proposed in the budget 1718 to achieve the objective. Take a couple of minutes. So, what is the question about? The question is asking you what are the intended objectives of Union Budget 1718? So, it was a very factual question, very rare in economy. Okay. They are asking for transform, energize, and clean India. Second part of the question is measures proposed to achieve these objectives. So obviously you have to write various measures and steps and aspects of budget 1718. Okay, this question may not be relevant today. Okay, just I'll give very brief explanation. Okay, because every year budget will have certain theme, certain pillars as to what it has to focus upon. So this year budget was different, next year budget will be different. So this transform, energize, and clean is not relevant today because this year budget is different. Do you agree, everyone?
Yes, sir.
So basically, what is this TEC? Transform. Transform. What the government wanted to transform? Transform the quality of governance and quality of life of people of India. Energize. What do you want to energize? Energize people to achieve their potential. And then what is clean? Clean is to reduce pollution and to reduce corruption. So this was the theme of that year. Obviously, next heading will be measures. What are the measures which the government proposed? Obviously, if you want to transform the governance, you have to upgrade the infrastructure, because it's a 250 word answer. For every side heading which I am mentioning, you have to again write couple of lines. Upgrading the infrastructure. Okay. And then what is the important part of the governance is the public service or the deliverables to the common man. to the common man. And then including or enhancing the information technology. Okay. Front and back linkages of data. Okay. Upgrading the skill set of people, and this is maybe for transforming, for energizing, or for cleaning. For cleaning, you will write promoting electric vehicles, enhancing transparency in government procurement, digital transactions can be increased, then tax reforms. Okay. And then energizing. So in energizing, actually, you can again write skill development, promoting education, improving health. Okay. Social security and employment, and so on. Okay. And then in the conclusion, you can write India is in the right phase of having blessed with demographic dividend. The need of the hour is to channelize this asset towards development of the nation through right policies. Clear?
Yes, sir.
In economy, you are getting such kind of fact-based questions every now and then. So that means that particular year economic survey and budget are becoming very important. So just see the theme of the budget. Every budget comes with certain theme. What is the role of that budget? Okay. What is its direction? Okay. And what it wants to do. That you just make a small note, have a handy paper which you can revise. Okay. And then based on that, you can, just write any kind of answer in the final exam. Yes, good.
So screen sharing had stopped.
Screen sharing stopped.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Good. Good. Good answer. You have covered up points across all the sectors. Good. So see, whenever there is a question on budget of that year, you can take up this template given by Rajni. So good points. So she has mentioned the theme, she has addressed various aspects of theme here, and then gone on to explain individual points, and then concluded in a very, very good way. Yes, good. See the next question. Women empowerment in India needs gender budgeting. What are the requirements and status of gender budgeting in Indian context?
Sir, actually, we missed the 8th question, sir, from last session.
You have joined late, Shanta. I just told that to Rajni that it was a very factual question about the long-term capital gain tax and dividend distribution tax. It's a very factual question, so hence I avoided the discussion. Okay.
Okay,
It is
clear.
all about the important points of that particular year. How LTCG was being taxed at 10%, how dividend distribution is being above 1 lakh, 1 lakh, above 1 lakh, it is being taxed, dividends given by the various companies. So in that answer, you can conclude saying that it is definitely giving more revenue to the government. But at the same time, if government wants to encourage more and more people to come into the stock markets or the equity markets, it has to give certain concessions. It has to give certain subsidies, because on average in India, the number of people in the share market or stock market are very less. Further, if you are taxing the returns in the form of LTCG and DDT, many more people will be discouraged to come into the stock market. In that way, you can conclude. Okay.
Okay, sir.
See the 11th question. Women empowerment in India needs gender budgeting. What are the requirements and status of gender budgeting in Indian context? Good points, Rajni. So your answer sums up various aspects of discussion. Good framework. So what is the question about? So yeah, the final answer is more or less on the same lines as you have presented. Okay. So what is the question about? Women empowerment in India needs gender budgeting. So they are asking you about gender budgeting. They are asking about gender budgeting. What are the requirements and the status? So gender budgeting, what are its requirements and what is its present status in Indian context? Okay. So basically, what is gender budgeting? We all know that gender budgeting is basically having separate allocation. Gender budgeting is having separate allocation of various resources for addressing gender inequalities or gender disparities. Okay. So in the body you say gender budgeting basically is mainly for empowering certain sections of society. Obviously, it is women here. Okay. So it promotes the delivery of services through specialized cells, specialized cells for gender budgeting. For gender requirements. Okay. And then what is the next part of the question? Requirements of general budgeting. Requirements of gender budgeting. Why? What is the requirement for gender budgeting is the question. What is the important aspect? Women are these days equal stakeholders in the development of the nation. Close to 50% of population are women. Okay. India is still predominantly a patriarchal society. Hence, gender budgeting can sensitize about women. Development of women, human resources, empowerment, etc. Then the next question is what? Status. Status is the next aspect, right? Gender budgeting requirement status. Yes. Status, it started in 2005-06 with every ministry having separate gender budgeting exercise. However, even after 17 years, the allocations are meager and outcomes not measured. Okay. And then however, some achievements you write. What are the achievements? Some women specific schemes which involved multiple ministries. The famous women scheme is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. This is having ministries across this thing. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Some women centric schemes for pregnant women like Matrutva Yojana. Okay. And then the famous Nirbhaya Fund. Okay. And then what are the drawbacks? Drawbacks is the funds allocated not reaching targeted audience. Okay. The number of women in parliament is still around 16%. Okay. The labor force participation rate of women is far less than men. Post-COVID, many women lost jobs. Okay, and then way forward, because it's a 200-word answer, there will be multiple dimension. Implement gender budgeting strictly with measured outcomes. Just don't implement for it implementing. It should, outcome should be measured. Sensitizing across all ministries. Implementation of 33% horizontal reservations for women, and so on. In the conclusion, you can write, one of the SDG is gender equality, and to achieve, we still need to go a long way. The idea of gender budgeting was great. It has to be implemented in letter and spirit to reap the benefits. Clear?
Sir, one doubt was there. So after 2013, I guess LGBT judgment, shall we include that aspect also in the answer, like in this point?
So you mean to say LGBT are also various genders and they also have to be empowered?
As in the gender budgeting need not be confined to the women empowerment.
Sure, you
It
can.
also.
That's a good point. You can add it. Not a problem.
Okay, sir.
Shanta Prasad, you have written this answer?
Yes, sir.
Good. Simple definition is good. Okay. Good. You have mentioned various government schemes. That is good. Yeah, it is stagnant. Yes. Good. This is called Panchayatipati. Okay, you can use this term. It's called Panchayatipati. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Good. In gender budgeting, what is the individual role required? Conclusion, it is good. Gender budgeting is at government level only. Na? You can
Yes,
say
sir.
government can be more serious in implementing gender budgeting. That can be a better conclusion. Of course, you wanted to bring the sustainability development goal. That is very appreciated. You say to achieve SDG, government has to be more serious in implementing gender budgeting.
Yes,
And
sir. Sir, can we
Indi-
say it should be across all three governments, all the three level governments?
You can say the gender budgeting can start from the grassroots level, but at the grassroots level, you already have the 33% reservation now.
Yes, sir.
Again, you're saying that even that women who are elected as panchayati heads, their men are trying to dictate terms. So, okay, you can say that gender budgeting is need of the hour to achieve the sustainable goal 5. The way forward is to actually implement the gender budgeting in letter and spirit to at all the 3 levels, including the grassroots level, to reap the true benefits. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Yeah. What is the meaning of tax expenditure? Taking house sector as an example, discuss how it influences the budgetary policies of the government. Again, a very old question, may not be relevant or applicable today, but okay, we'll do it. What is the meaning of term tax expenditure? Taking house sector as an example, discuss how it influences budgetary policies. Okay, I think it's a simple question also. No issue. Take 2 minutes. Yeah, I think it's a fairly simple question. They are asking you what is tax expenditure, and they are asking you an example of housing sector and explain the tax expenditure. So in the conclusion, you can take a balanced stand. Okay. So what they are asking you, what is tax expenditure? What is the tax expenditure? First, what is the tax expenditure? Taking housing sector. So they are saying housing sector. Just 1 minute. Saying taking housing sector as they are taking housing sector as an example. They are saying discuss how it influences, how this tax expenditure influences budgetary policies. So by taking this case study, you have to explain. That is the intention of the examiner. Okay, even today, if this question is asked, you can still answer it. So introduction obviously should be the definition of tax expenditure. What is tax expenditure? It is basically provision of certain incentives or tax exemptions or relaxations, whatever is the form of benefit to certain categories of taxpayers for their investments. Okay. So basically what this tax expenditure, when government is giving incentives, tax exemptions, especially the tax exemptions, isn't the government losing certain money? Yes. So it is nothing but the revenue lost by the government. So in the body you say this tax expenditure basically is the revenue lost by the government. So now take the example of housing sector and its influence on budgetary policies. So how do you explain this influence of tax budgetary policies? For example, now you say that the housing loan interest up to 2 lakhs is non-taxable. Housing loan interest paid, and then housing loan principal up to 1,50,000 is covered under section 80C. This you need to know. It's a very factual question. I agree it is not so easy, but you have to know. HRA is exempted from income tax. Okay, and then certain rentals received from leased property have tax exemptions. Okay, so how do they influence the budgetary policies? Okay, so it is nothing but loss of revenue which the government may try to compensate in other ways. It's a major thing. The GDP, the tax to GDP ratio will be less. Okay, may not benefit all sections of people, because not everyone can invest in a house and try to take the advantages of the exemptions given by the government of the day. So then what is the way forward? Implement schemes like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, that is housing for all. Okay, and then promote online transactions in real estate sector, because we all know that a lot of cash and black money goes into the real estate sector. So promote online transactions in the real estate sector and assess the market values periodically. Give option to taxpayers to not have home loan rebates, like what they have done for the gas cylinders. You give some option to taxpayers to not have the home loan rebates. Some people may not really care about the 2 lakhs exemption which they are getting, and they may come forward to pay tax. Okay, and then these are some reforms. And then conclusion, you say that tax expenditure looks like a revenue loss, but will help in creating assets beneficial to the common man, like housing. However, such benefits should be periodically reviewed for better tax collections. Clear? So what we are saying is, it is in a way good, but try to review it periodically so that if there is any non-requirement or any loopholes as we have given in the way forward, we can withdraw it. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Raghu, you have written?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, social benefits. You can say housing has increased. It's a good point. You can say housing has increased.
Okay, sir.
The tax expenditure. Yeah. Yes. Less money for capital asset creation. This is a very good point. Nice. Because of more home loans, a lot of NPS have increased. Good point. Good. So fine. Okay. We'll meet again tomorrow at the same time with another set of questions. Okay. Good night.